Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my review for the Formula 2 feature race from Belgium. So there's high drama before the race even started. Vesti actually crashed on the recon lap. So before they start the race, they go from the pit lane to the grid before the race, and this is called the recon lap. And Vesti actually crashed on that lap, so he did not start the race. So the championship leader from Formula 2 did not start the race today, which has had massive implications on the championship. Behrman started on pole. Vesti's spot was vacated, so Martins technically started second, starting from third grid position. It was a 5-minute delayed start. The Formula 3 race finished quite late, so just a little bit of a delay there while the track was drying out. And everyone was starting on the dry tires too, with Doohan in Iwasa as well as Novalak starting on the alternative strategy, starting on the medium tire first. It was a really poor start by Martins, but Pourchaire was up to second, had a really good start. Hauger had a bit of a trip to the gravel on the exit of turn 1 at the exit of La Source, trying to get around Boschung, who had an absolutely awful launch going out of turn 1. Later on in that first lap, Hauger ground to a halt around Les Combes. He made contact with Iwasa. Iwasa kind of hit him, went a little bit wide. Hauger spun around and his car stalled. So really rotten luck for Hauger. Unfortunately, with these Formula 2 cars, they really stall quite easily. Iwasa had a broken suspension from that contact, so he had to come in and pit for repairs, but eventually he did retire in the pits. Lap 2, Hauger somehow restarted, and it turns out that the marshals kind of started pushing him, and he kind of jumped the clutch of the car and got it going again, which is against the rules. So he was investigated for that and eventually black flagged, so he was disqualified from the race. Lap 3, the safety car was ending. In lap 4, there was some slight contact between the Carlins on the restart at Les Combes, so a little bit of contact between Maloney and Fittipaldi, which is ironic because Maloney had come onto the radio right before the safety car ended, saying on the radio to his team, saying, "Come on guys, we don't need to do anything funny here, we just need to try to get the most points." And of course, there's contact between the two of them. Martins gets past Maloney as well on that lap after the contact between the two the two Carlins, Leclerc, and then we got a really scary moment. Oh dear. Okay, we got a really scary moment going up the hill. Martins was tapped by Nissany, basically going through Eau Rouge, and this caused Leclerc to basically spin into Raidillon, which looked like a really dangerous accident waiting to happen. Luckily, he managed to keep it out of the barrier, managed to keep it in a straight line, and he managed to continue, albeit with a puncture. Later on, the commentators, Alex Jakes was saying that with the cold track temperatures, it was likely that an overcut would be very powerful. So pitting first and then overcutting the car, coming out in front of the car, in front of you after they pit behind you. So lap 6 is when Hauger was black flagged. He did continue for 5 laps, had some fun, but had to come in at the end of that lap. And then that lap at Les Combes, both Pourchaire and Behrman kind of outbreak themselves and go a little bit deep, and both of them kind of just continue on their way on the tarmac runoff. Lap 7, Pourchaire has another look at Behrman. They're very close, and Pourchaire at this point does look like he has better pace. The Leclerc-Nissany incident at this point was under investigation, and Nissany was given a 10-second penalty for that, which I think is fair. I think it was quite a dangerous move, given that the location and given the crashes we've had recently there. It might have been pertinent to give a bigger penalty, but at the same time, if that was a different corner, I think 10 seconds would have been fair. Lap 8, Doohan overtook Hasher for P8 at turn 13-14, so really good move around the outside there. Lap 10, Crawford starting to put pressure on Hasher, and then Novalak pits for soft, so he's actually one of the medium tire runners, and similar to what happened in Hungary last week, even though I wasn't watching. the soft tires were a lot better with the cooler temperatures, and so Novalak trying something different, basically pitting quite early for the medium tire and trying to do the majority of the race on that soft tire. But he actually comes out, when he comes out, he misses the pit exit, and he basically, there's a white line on the exit of the pits that the drivers must stay within, otherwise they get a penalty, and he kind of drifted a little bit wide, so he's getting a 5-second penalty for that. Lap 12, Daruvula was the first driver into the pits for the mediums, and Hajar pits with him, but he actually hits the exit of the pit wall on the pit lane. So basically, he goes even further than Novalak did, and he basically just hits, understeers into the pit wall and loses his front wing. And this brings out a virtual safety car, presumably to clear up the debris from Hajar's front wing. And then lap 13 was a bit of a surprise to me. Fittipaldi is up to the leading battle. So for the first 10 laps or so, Behrman and Pourchaire were 3 to 5 seconds in front, and there was a very large gap behind to Fittipaldi, but by lap 13, Fittipaldi had managed to catch up. Lap 14, Martins and Maloney are into the pits, and they come out 10th and 11th respectively, so they're the first two of the drivers in the top 5 or 6 to pit. Lap 15, Daruvula goes onto the grass, challenging Maloney, so a bit of a clumsy error there for Daruvula. Pourchaire and Behrman both pit that same lap, lap 15, and Pourchaire takes the lead in the pit stops. A little bit of a faster stop for Pourchaire, and he has a lot more grip going away from his pit box. Let's see, where are we? Lap 16, following lap, Fittipaldi pits and Pourchaire basically takes the lead, virtual lead from Fittipaldi, and Fittipaldi actually drops to 4th behind Martins. Martins was then given a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's a small mistake, but that being said, it's a safety issue there. Crawford is out sector 2, and basically he has contact with Juan Manuel Correa. A similar incident to the Hauger crash earlier. He basically was spun and car stalled. So really unfortunate for both drivers, but however, this moment has a massive impact on the result of the race. It brings out the safety car, and Doohan, who's in that lead of the race, hasn't pitted yet on the medium tire, pits under the safety car for the soft tire. So basically he gains about 11 seconds by pitting under the safety car, and he comes out in 2nd place with the safety car when the safety car comes in. Lap 18, they showed a replay of basically what looked like a collision between Martins and Behrman on the feed. At the bus stop chicane, basically Martins went very, very deep and kind of missed the chicane. That was investigated, but there was no further investigation for that. Lap 19, the safety car was supposed to end, but Josh Mason, driver in his debut race, spins under the safety car. Looks like he was trying to avoid his teammate Nastani, and he basically goes on the grass and spins the car. Stalls, but luckily the part of the track where he stalled is quite downhill, so he was able to basically kind of use the gravity to kind of push his way down the hill and restart, something that Hauger was not able to do. So the safety car was basically out 1 extra lap until lap 20. Doohan goes a little bit wide on the source because he has so much more grip. He had to kind of take avoiding action to avoid Pourchaire because he had so much more grip on his tires. Lap 22, Martins goes off the track at Lacombe. Looks like a really small contact with Behrman, and that was under investigation. And Behrman was given a 5-second time penalty for that incident. A little bit harsh on Behrman, but I can understand. Doohan was on Pourchaire's gearbox, and at this point it kind of looked inevitable that Doohan was going to take the lead, and that's exactly what happens. Lap 23. Doohan overtakes Pourchaire along the Kemmel Straight. Nothing Pourchaire could have done, much fresher tires, and all he can do is just kind of make one good move, hold it, and hope that it sticks. Lap 24, Doohan takes fastest lap to get that extra point for good measure, and then on the final lap, Fittipaldi overtakes Maloney for P5, and Doohan takes the checker flag to win his 2nd straight Formula 2 feature race and his 2nd straight Formula 2 win at Spa-Francorchamps. So overall, pretty decent race, I think. that being said, overtaking was very difficult. When you have a drying track, especially when you're on the dry tires, basically there's like a dry line, and if you go off of that, it becomes very wet, very low grip, and it can be very hard to overtake. So overtaking was there was a bit less overtaking compared to yesterday, but that's a bit understandable given the weather. That being said, it was a bit of an unpredictable result, given the safety car and Doohan basically coming from 11th on grid to win. So overall pretty decent. That's the end all for Formula 2, of course, until after the summer break in Zandvoort. So nice long summer break for all of us, although maybe we're probably not too happy with that, given we'd rather be watching racing. Silly me, I actually forgot to go over the race result in the championship standings, so that's not so good. So let's take a look at the result of the race. So of course Doohan won, Pourchaire second, and then Fittipaldi gets on the podium, third place after his penalties. Fourth was Maloney, fifth Martins drops down with the penalty, sixth for sure, seventh Behrman, who also dropped from that 5-second penalty with the contact with Martins. Eighth Miney, ninth Stanek, 10th Boschung, 11th Leclerc, 12th Correa, 13th Nissany, 14th Novalak, 15th Mason, 16th Cordeal. And then your non-finishers are Crawford, Dorugala, Hadjar, Hauger, Iwasa, and Vesti. And like I said earlier, massive implications in the championship. So Pourchaire moves into the lead of the championship, 168 points, 12 points clear of Vesti in second with 156. Iwasa stays third with 134, but Doohan makes up massive ground again today, 130 points for him. Martins is fifth with 120, Behrman 6th, 102, Fittipaldi 7th, 98, Pourchaire 8th with 84, Hauger 9th with 82, 10th is Maloney with 78, 11th is Miney with 56, 12th Dorugala with 53, 13th Crawford with 39, Leclerc and Hadjar in 14th and 15th also with 39, 16th Stanek 35, 16th Boschung with 35, 17th Stanek 13, 18th Correa with 12, and then Novalak with 2, and then Nissany, Cordial, Benavides, and Mason all on no points. So for real this time, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.